Was poised to get to this moment, derailed by a toe injury, but happy to be back on the floor. I told him pregame, you better be glad you're playing. I came all this way to see you. You better make sure you show up tonight.
Jared Allen wins the tip. Here we go in game 3. Indiana, a 2-0 series lead. Here's Garland shoveling to Allen. Good looking possession here. Strus connects on a 3. Number one thing Kenny Atkinson told us before the game was we just need to make shots. We have missed so many open looks in this series. Cavs went 9 of 38 from 3 in game 1, 11 of 39 in game 2.
And you total that up, Double R, it is 26%. So there's been a lot of talk about Boston Celtics shooting only 25% from 3, but you're also talking about the number 1 seed only shooting 26 as well.
Halliburton misses the banker. Mobley lost the rebound, but it caroms right to Garland.
I can tell you early, I love the way that Darius Garland is moving to start this game.
He's dealing with a sprained toe and looks spry. Here's Mitchell. Nice find. Mobley dropped it, and Siakam comes up with a steal. Here's Halliburton. They want to get it to Siakam with the matchup on Mitchell. Fading, can't hit.
And that's a win by Donovan Mitchell, forcing Pascal Siakam to shoot the turnaround, but try to do it before the double team got there.
Strus deep 3 is off. Long rebound. Strus flagged it down. Here is Garland.
That was an area of concern for Rick Carlisle. They've given up 13 and 14 offensive rebounds respectively. He said that's one of the things they're going to have to do better here at home because he knows Cleveland's going to come out and give him a huge punch early as Mobley attacks and is fouled by Halliburton.
Yeah, so an early personal on Halliburton. And to your point, Corey, through the first 2 games, Cleveland a 21-point advantage in second chance points off of those offensive rebounds.
And to consider that you did that without Evan Mobley
right
in the game 2, you consider the fact that if that's an area of concern truly for Rick Carlisle that they have to clean up, not only for tonight, but moving forward throughout the playoffs.
See the numbers for Mobley, who missed that game 2. Yeah, Rick Carlisle pointed to that as the one thing that he really felt like needed to get better from games 1 and 2, securing the defensive glass. They went through some film on it, and again it's a problem, this time off the free throw. And right away, Rick Carlisle needs a timeout. Good start from Cleveland trying to get off the mat in Indiana.
The Cleveland Cavaliers off to a great start on their offensive glass. Off the Max Strus 3, he tracks his own rebound, which ends up putting Evan Mobley at the free throw strike. He makes the first, but then on the second, 2 more second chance points for the Cavaliers early. And Ryan, we talked with Coach Carlisle. That was something that he mentioned as the one thing they needed to clean up.
Right. He talked about everything he liked from game 1 and 2 and said the one thing we really focused on in film that we need to clean up was giving up offensive rebounds. So the Cavs do it a little bit differently than some teams, the way they crash. We watched film on it, we practiced it, but early returns for Cleveland. And it was interesting talking with Kenny Atkinson before the game, Corey. He had a very calm, confident demeanor. We asked him, you know, where is that calm coming from down 2-0? And he said, I love our group. I love our leadership, and I've loved our process in these games. The results have not been what we've wanted, but I still feel really good. Obviously, getting back 3 key members helps as well, as Nembhard can't hit. Rebound caroms out of bounds. And it's going to be Cleveland basketball as it last hit the leg of Turner.
Yeah, you talk about that confidence. Coach Atkinson was much more confident knowing that he had those 3 guys that were going to be in the lineup. 2 of those guys, all-stars, and another in the running for 6th man of the year.
Here's Strus attacking the closeout. Strus, a tough take, and an 8-0 start to game 3 for Cleveland.
And Ryan, we talked about how important that would be. And one thing that you as coaches you often hear is don't allow one game to lose us 2. And this start by the Cleveland Cavaliers shown that they've put that loss, that comeback loss behind them.
Halliburton gets denied by Mobley, controlled by Cleveland. They have numbers. Mitchell shovels, Garland fakes, dishes in the corner, Strus a 3. You bet! An 11-0 punch from Cleveland out of the gates in game 3.
But how about 2 of 3 from beyond the 3-point arc already? We mentioned only shooting 26%, and the Cleveland Cavaliers coming in shooting better on the road.
As Turner gets fouled by Garland, and free throws here for Miles Turner.
Well, the defensive player of the year was absolutely missed in game 2. You see him getting his hand on that basketball. The block shot leads in an opportunity unable to match up Max Strus knocking down the corner three ball.
We'll send Turner to the line, who's had a terrific playoffs thus far, both ends of the floor for Indiana. A free agent to be. It is time for the upcoming playoff schedule, brought to you by PNC Bank. ABC tomorrow, game threes, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening. Celtics, Knicks, T-Wolves, Warriors. Then ABC Sunday, game 4, Thunder, Nuggets. And TNT Sunday, game 4, Cavs, Pacers. For more on these games, please go to NBA.com or visit the NBA app. I mean, these series have just been fantastic.
The playoffs have been fantastic.
Yeah.
When you consider the treat that we've had this year with the first round series, and now what we've gotten in the second round, the conference semifinals, as we see a turnover. Darius Garland and Mobley, both these guys showing a little rust early in the game. We saw Mobley mishandle a basketball in the previous possession.
We see Mobley drop a couple. He dropped a rebound earlier too. Yeah. Here's Siakam tiptoeing baseline. Siakam looking to finagle his way to space. Turner on the attack, and a foul is called as Turner went right into Jared Allen, who's taken a moment to get up.
And this is the issue when you have to defend Miles Turner. He has the ability to knock down the three ball, so as you close out, you have to find ways to make sure you force him to the rim. Jared Allen getting over, however, not in time to be able to get the offensive foul, sending Miles Turner back for free throws 3 and 4.
No, just to go back to that rust for Mobley, Kenny Atkinson told us for Mobley, for DeAndre Hunter, not so worried about conditioning, just missed a game, really just worried about the limitations they may or may not have from their injuries. For Garland, conditioning is a concern, as Angel detailed for us off the top of the broadcast, because it's been 2 weeks since he played, and Kenny Atkinson told Garland, you just got to be honest with me. I promise you, if you need a blow, I will get you back in the game quickly. But we got to make sure that you can continue to play at the speed that you're used to for the minutes you are out there.
But for what we've seen, Garland is probably in better shape right now than has been Mobley, but those 5 days, especially at this time of year, can truly throw off your timing. I believe that's where Mobley is lacking early in this game.
Siakam a three. Back ironing off. Allen the rebound. Indiana has scored 4 straight. Here's Mitchell at 48 in game 2. The swim move. Couldn't hook it in. Allen the rebound and the putback. Indiana upset. Felt like Allen pushed off Turner. To the naked eye, looked like they had a case.
Those two guys played at Texas. I'm sure they played pickup. They fouled each other much harder than that.
Halliburton, beautiful dish, and then Mobley on the rejection. Able to alter that attempt from Siakam. Mitchell a 3 is good. Big swing on both ends, and it's a 12-point Cavs lead.
Well, let's think about this, Double R. That is probably the easiest look that Donovan Mitchell has gotten in this series. And you think about the fact that he hasn't had to work as hard as Miles Turner will make his 3rd trip to the free throw line in this first quarter. But Donovan Mitchell has had to work so hard, especially to start games. Now, he doesn't have to be the primary playmaker at all times. He's able to be the beneficiary of a nice find from Max Strus and knock down his 3 early.
Well, and Kenny Atkinson talked about the end of game 2, just how gassed Donovan Mitchell was. And he didn't play extraordinary minutes. He was under 40 minutes in that game. It was just the load he was carrying on the offensive end, handling the basketball every single possession against a relentless Indiana defense that picks you up 94 feet.
Yeah, the Indiana plays almost like a college team. And it's not just Nembhard who picks up 94 feet. It's Neesmith, it's Halliburton. Everyone has to be up, because it'd be simple enough to where if only one guy did it, you just give it to a different ball handler. But Indiana brings everyone up. So therefore, you all have to be ready to handle the basketball. Put so much pressure on Donovan Mitchell in the first 2 games playing without Darius Garland.
Here's Mitchell spinning into the paint, exploding and finishing. How about that move from Donovan Mitchell plus the foul?
Now, we're used to seeing Donovan Mitchell with highlight dunks, but this finish will absolutely be on his highlight reel. Watch the ability to go. Now, he was thinking dunk this early. He's thinking dunk right there, but then bring it back together. Still has the composure to keep his head on the rim, eyes up, go off the glass for a bucket opportunity for a 3-point play the old-fashioned way.
Averaging over 40 points per game thus far in this series. He is historically a terrific playoff performer, one of just 8 players all time who averages at least 28 points per game in their playoff careers. As you hear the applause for T.J. McConnell coming and getting Andrew Nembhard.
But you also see Ty Jerome coming in for Darius Garland. Now Ty Jerome is playing in his normal matchup, coming off the bench, playing against the backup point guard, which relieves a little of the pressure. Ty Jerome struggled from the field, 1 of 14 in game 2 after scoring 20-plus points in game 1. I think we'll see a more confident Ty Jerome here today.
Fouls McConnell there. .7:05 to go in the first quarter of game 3, a 19-5 lead for the Cavs. I mean, Corey, just how about the way the Cavs have gotten out of the gates after a heartbreaking loss in game 2?
Well, similar to what we saw from them in game 2. They got out the gates similar to this. However, they weren't able to hang on at the end. But it was important for the Cavs to be able to get off to this great start, to erase what happened to them last time out. And look at DeAndre Hunter back into the game as well after missing game 2 with a huge rebound.
Oh, Mitchell slides in, couldn't finish it. Turner came over. Here's McConnell shoveling back. Turner, a 3 is good. Stops an 8-1 Cleveland run as the Cavs call timeout. Delivered by Chipotle.
And the winning ingredient starts with Max Strus knocking down not 1 but 2 threes and mixing in a strong finish at the rim in between. Max Strus off to a great start, as well as the Cleveland Cavaliers here on the road.
8 points, 3 of 4 from the floor. You see Strus, who was held in check in game 1, stepped up in game 2 with Cleveland down 3 key pieces, scored 23 points, off to a really good start tonight for the Cavs as well.
I mean, you can't discount his playoff experience. You're talking about a young man who's played in the NBA Finals 2 seasons ago with the Miami Heat. He was on that Finals team that was an 8 seed that knocked off a number 1 and made it all the way to the Finals. So when you think about Max Strus and his ability to be one of the leaders, and Kenny Atkinson told us he was one of the guys that stood up and was talking in their meeting after that loss, that heartbreaking loss in game 2, and sharing his voice.
Corey, I was able to catch up with Max Strus as well, and he said, I know this is a team that you would expect to be down coming into this game, but he said this is some team that is confident. We're the first to 50 wins. We understand how we need to play. Getting reinforcements back, yes, but he said we have to double down on us. What is us? Playing our way, simplifying the game. We're seeing that now. Yeah,
I thought it was really interesting, Angel, Jared Alec was still alive. Kenny Atkinson told us day 1 after that loss, he didn't want them watching film at all. And he said that was one of those losses where you feel all over your body. It's not just a gut punch. It's not just heartbreaking. You feel it in 8 different places. Said it was a therapy session where, as you mentioned, Max Strus, Donovan Mitchell, players spoke, kind of loved on each other, built each other up. And then day 2 afterwards, they dove into, okay, what do we need to do on the floor to get better and get back into this series? They've checked the boxes thus far in this first quarter, a 20-8 lead. Miles Turner has scored all 8 for Indiana as McConnell misses the reverse. Halliburton slaps it out of bounds, and it's Cavs basketball. You can see early, though, there's intent by the Pacers to attack Ty Jerome. They understand how important he is to this Cavaliers team, so he's already picked up 1 foul. You can get another one on him and get him out of the game because they know how dangerous he can be off the bench. Garland connects on a 3. That's got to feel good for DG to see one go down early on this comeback game. I don't believe he took a shot in his first stint on the floor, but now coming back off the bench, giving Donovan Mitchell a break, is able to knock down the 3 ball. 1 of 1, and Cleveland is 4 of 5 from 3. That was Kenny Atkinson's number 1 key today. Make shots. Turner is doing that. He has all 10 Pacers points. And Miles Turner is much more comfortable taking advantage of that mismatch when you're playing against with a small behind him than he has been in the past. Normally he would still float around on the perimeter. Now he's going down punishing guys in the post. Jerome able to hit the floater. His first field goal attempt of the game after a 1 for 14 game 2. McConnell lobbing it in. And that's going to be a foul on Garland before the shot. Number 2 on Garland. Pacers now in the bonus, so free throws here for Obi Toppin. And a foul to watch for Darius Garland. He is the first player in Game 3 with 2 personals. Hey, the NBA playoffs roll on tomorrow with a pair of conference semifinal Game 3s on ABC. Knicks host the defending champion Celtics in the East at 3:30 Eastern, and in the Western semis, the Timberwolves and the Warriors at 8:30 Eastern. How about Boston? What do you need to see from them to get back in that series against the Knicks?
Well, you need to see Jason Tatum, but one of the things that you need to see is, and I remind people, 2 seasons ago, we saw this exact same thing. Jason Tatum struggled in back-to-back games against the Philadelphia 76ers in round 2. Not only did he make a strong comeback in Game 6 in the 4th quarter, he went on in Game 7 and broke a Game 7 record, 51 points. So I believe we're going to see JT respond in the Garden tomorrow.
Mathurin on a 3. Off the bench and drills the triple.
And that's an area of strength for these Pacers as well. When you come off the bench with Benedict Mathurin, he provides instant offense, also a defensive presence.
Mobley couldn't finish, neither could Jerome. Here comes McConnell with haste, the lob, Turner, the finish. Indiana on a 7-0 run. Jerome probing. 2 seconds, lost it out of bounds.
That was a tremendous job defensively by the Pacers. Everyone stayed home. Oftentimes when you see someone attack the basket, a la Steve Nash with that dribble going underneath, there people feel like they need the help. No one left their man, gave Ty Jerome no outlet.
Mathurin again.
Benedict Mathurin, one of the 2 players this season for the Pacers to have a 30-point game off the bench, and off to a great start here as the bench has given the Pacers a huge lift.
Mobley gets a clean look and drills it from 3 to end the 10-0 run.
And Mobley, who was 2 for 5 from 3 in Game 1, has shown throughout this season he can stretch it from beyond the arc, and he has to be guarded out to 23-9.
Yeah, shot it at 37% as Halliburton's runner goes. Shot it at 37% did Mobley, and took over 3 threes a game. By far and away a career high in attempts. Previously was at about 1.3 as Mobley finishes through the contact right into the body of Turner.
And this is part of the unlocking of Evan Mobley, which you saw from Kenny Gaddis this year, when you consider the fact that not only was he the defensive player of the year, but also career highs on the offensive end of the floor. And that was urging from Donovan Mitchell, from Darius Garland, telling Kenny Atkinson when he took this job, there is much more with Evan Mobley. We have to find a way to get that out. That will benefit us in the playoffs, and it's absolutely benefiting them here in Game 3.
Second foul there on Turner, who will check out. So Mathurin, Siakam, McConnell, Thomas Bryant, and Halliburton for Indiana. Remember, the Pacers did not have Mathurin in the playoffs a season ago in their run to the Eastern Conference Finals. He was injured. Jerome, awkward floater is off. Here comes McConnell. Pacers have hit their last 5 shots after starting 1 of 9. Bryant. Halliburton 10 to shoot. Halliburton into the paint, gets denied by Wade, out of bounds. It'll stay here with the Pacers. 7 to shoot.
Nice play by Dean Wade on that possession, blocking the shot. Wade, who got the start in Game 2 with no Mobley, had 10 rebounds, but only was 1 of 3 from the field. Knocked down that 1-3 for him, but doing the job defensively as the starter would do in that position, coming up with the block shot.
Nembhard in, Halliburton gets a rest, Mathurin gets free and reverses it home off the window.
What a luxury to have a guy like Bennett Mathurin coming off the bench, and he comes in with immediate confidence. Already 8 points for Mathurin as soon as he steps on the floor.
6-point game, Garland heaves, can't hit. Hunter keeps it alive, another offensive rebound for Cleveland. Their 5th of the opening quarter. Garland dancing, dishing, and Mobley the slam.
I already knew that he was delivering that to DeAndre Hunter. The look away by DG, dropping the dime for Mobley. I think he fooled not just me, but everyone on the Pacers roster.
8 points for Mobley as Garland, look out. That's going to be number 3. 3rd foul on Darius Garland. You felt his impact in this opening quarter. The offensive fluidity and pace that comes along with him. But now, serious decision time for Kenny Atkinson as Garland picks up his 3rd of the first.
Well, Donovan Mitchell at the scorer's table now. I'm sure he will be checking in for Darius Garland, but you've got to give Darius Garland tremendous credit. He's given this team a much-needed lift in this game, and Donovan Mitchell was able to rest. So regardless of the foul trouble or not, he has been giving them the lift. Also dropped a beautiful dime. I think we might see that on SportsCenter tonight.
And we will see how Kenny Atkinson plays the minutes for Garland in the 2nd quarter, with him having already picked up 3 fouls. 6-point game. Here's Hunter. Mitchell lobs it in. Mobley assertive, couldn't finish. Rebound whacked around. Wade has it. A 3 from Jerome is off. Another offensive rebound opportunity here for Cleveland. They have 7 already in the quarter.
And how about the effort from the Cavs? The way they have crashed the glass throughout this game and starting it off. And again, they're sending a message to the Pacers. You're going to have to put a body on someone each and every time a shot goes up.
And a whistle against Siakam prior to the inbound. So an away from the play foul, and Cleveland will get a free throw that they can have anybody shoot, plus retain possession.
But as a veteran and an all-star in Siakam, you've got to understand that in a dead ball situation, officials are absolutely watching everything that's going on the floor. I watched those guys arm wrestling well before that play happened. And again, as Siakam as a defender, you've got to know, just get your hands out of the way to make sure you don't pick up that foul. We're seeing this well before the ball comes in bounds. That's a foul. And so therefore, you force the officials to call it because it's happening in open space.
Yeah.
Mark Davis doesn't have a choice but to call that.
Hunter, great look. Mitchell, what a rejection from behind. And then Bryant as well. Nembhard and Bryant, terrific blocks. McConnell pulls the string on it. Cavs have led by as many as 15 in the quarter. Here's Jerome. Lost it. Mobley last hit it. It's Indiana basketball. Mobley, you would think he had hurt his hands the way he's been dropping the basketball in this first quarter.
And normally short-handed right now, and you've just got to chalk that up to the timing of having to miss those games and not being able to play or practice with that sprained ankle.
I mean, 5 times we've seen him drop the ball. Nembhard in the corner.
And it turns into points off turnover. So now you're talking about just like that. This is a one-possession game after Cleveland had dominated this first quarter early.
Here's Mitchell, 2-for-1 opportunity. No look, Jerome, no. Here come the Pacers. Mathurin fires, can't hit. And the rebound, Karam's out of bounds off of McConnell with about a 2-second difference, game and shot clock.
But look at the pace we're seeing now from the Pacers. You know, named after the way they play.
Yeah.
Absolutely getting up and down the floor. And that's one of the things Kenny Atkinson talked to us about. This series and the speed of this series, the way this team transitions from one end of the floor to the other, is unlike anything that they've seen outside of playing against these Pacers this season.
Well, and he was telling us they have intensity metrics that their performance team evaluates for. Intensity is off the charts compared to other teams for what they're able to do on both ends of the floor throughout the entirety of that 48-minute game.
I think there's a metric for pretty much everything in the NBA nowadays, but I've never heard of it.
Do they use any analytics on us? I want to know.
Oh, they do. Absolutely, they do. We'll get a report after the game.
That's right. Tim Corrigan, Thomas Kittner coming into your email box.
There you go.
4-second difference game and shot clock. Here's Garland, wiggling, taking, can't hit. Garland out there with those 3 fouls. Here's Nembhard, 3 seconds left. A 3 for Shepherd. You bet! Tie game! What a finish to the first in Indianapolis.
What was a great start by the Cleveland Cavaliers has been matched by these Indiana Pacers to the delight of their home crowd.
For tonight's Access, brought to you by New Balance, I'm here with Evan Mobley, and after you guys had the 20-8 start, they have now tied the game after the first quarter. What do you think has gone into the shift of momentum?
We got to get stops, and then offensively, we got to make the open ones. Felt like we've been getting good shots, we just got to make them.
Coach Atkinson mentioned that he was going to rely on you guys to communicate if you were tired, but knowing that there's a lot on the line, how do you feel about what you were able to accomplish and what DG and DeAndre Hunter have been able to?
It was a pretty good quarter so far. We just got to put together 3 more quarters.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you to Evan Mobley. Angel Gray. Cavs score off the turnover to begin the second. Indiana ended that first quarter on a 22-7 run after they had fallen behind by 15.
That's the first points off of turnovers for the Cavs in this game. Only 1 first quarter turnover for Indiana, so even though they didn't get off to a great start, they weren't turning the basketball over, but they did give up 7 offensive rebounds.
Mitchell back ironing off. Siakam, what a dart, and Mathurin gets hugged from behind by Mitchell. And they quickly work it out.
So now here's the thing, there's no one out in front. However, the spacing on the floor, I'm not sure that can be considered a clear path foul because he's so close to the rim. And Donovan Mitchell does make a play on the basketball. That could very well just be a 2-shot foul for Mathurin going in. When you look, I'm not sure if he makes a play on the basketball when that one just grabbing from behind. As the officials are still having a conversation about this, but where you are on the floor, because he's so close to the rim, I don't think they can go and make this a clear path. But it looks as though our officiating crew of Mark Davis, Josh Tiven, and Bill Kennedy may actually go over and look at it.
So it took a while, and initially it looked like Bill Kennedy was saying we're not going to review it, but after further discussion between Mark Davis, Josh Tiven, they have decided to come over and take a look.
The ruling on the floor is a transitional take foul. As per rule, there is doubt as to whether or not that is a clear path foul, and we will review to determine it.
All right, so they're going to take a look at whether or not it is going to be a transition take.
And the difference between the two, with a transition take foul, it's 1 free throw and the ball.
Yep.
But if it's a clear path, it's 2 free throws and the basketball. But to me, it almost looks as though he was, because Ben Mathurin lost the basketball, he no longer is in his gather to be able to go shoot, so it wouldn't be a shooting foul at that point. It looks as though he actually lost the basketball maybe before Donovan Mitchell even made contact.
See
as we
Mark
look at
Davis and Bill Kennedy taking a look, Josh Tiven having his discussions. I mean, it's definitely, but at minimum,
upon review, it has been determined that there's illegal contact by Mitchell foot to foot prior to the grab. Therefore, this is a clear path foul.
There you go.
We'll shoot 2 shots, and then we'll see the ball on the side. Please reset the shot clock to 24, please.
So that's 2 free throws in the ball rather than 1 because of that contact foot to foot happening prior to Mitchell's grab where he didn't make a play on the ball.
Yep, it's Donovan Mitchell's left foot stepping on Mathurin, and when we were looking at the action up top, you see that the basketball was out of Mathurin's hands. However, it came out of his hands because of the foot to foot. So great job by the officiating crew seeing that in the replay.
And Mathurin hits the first. We've seen throughout these playoffs, Corey, and we saw it in game 2 as well. Benedict Mathurin's minutes have changed games for Indiana when they have been down. Whether it's been in the first half as it was tonight or the second half as it was in game 2, Mathurin coming off the bench has made a huge impact just tonight. Plus 12 with Mathurin in the game, minus 12 with him out of the game.
Well, you consider the fact that he was the offense. He checked in, knocked down at 3, and really got it going for the Pacers on the offensive end of the floor as he lines up another, unable to get it to go. As the Cavaliers go zone, Kenny Atkinson told us that he would look at a number of different things defensively to try to make the Pacers uncomfortable on offense. That was the first possession we've seen of zone in this game from the Cavs.
Here's Mitchell trying to get that handoff, wrestled it away, threw it into traffic. Mobley finds Hunter cutting and finishing. DeAndre Hunter then seemingly in pain afterwards, grimacing as he comes back up the floor. Siakam takes advantage, 5 on 4.
And Hunter looked to jump awkwardly on that possession, and maybe he ran into one of the Pacer defenders on his way to the basket.
Mobley strong take. Now Mobley missed last game with an ankle. Hunter missed it with a thumb. Garland hadn't played since game 2 of the first round because of a sprained toe. Garland on the bench right now with 3 fouls, but looked really good in his minutes as far as his pace and mobility went.
He really did, and you consider the fact that having that additional ball handler takes a lot of pressure away from Donovan Mitchell. Great job by the Cavs coming up with that defensive rebound after 2 different Pacers got a hand on it.
Here's Hunter. Hunter and a reach-in foul called against Indiana. It's going to be on Mathurin, and that will be his first.
But that was an area of concern for DeAndre Hunter. You see him putting the basketball on the floor, but it's that right shooting hand, that thumb, that sprained thumb. So that's going to be something you got to keep an eye on, his ability to handle the basketball and, of course, knock down threes, where he has been magnificent all season long coming off the bench, whether it was for the Hawks or now for the Cavs.
Here's Mitchell. Mitchell dishes to the corner. Strus wide open. Connects. Not a 3.
Strus had enough time to find the seams on that one. Gathered himself. That's a practice shot right there for a guy that's already made 2 early in this game. You can't give him that much time.
And a whistle on the other end again. Strus. That'll be his first, as he was jockeying with Siakam. Let's take a listen into sounds of the game with Tyrese Halliburton.
This one again? It don't matter to me either way, but...
Paper, rock, or scissors?
Yeah, which one do y'all like more? Let's go. Hey, 48 minutes. Let's get going. We're going to win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey, play through. Come on. Let's go, baby. Hey, big run right here. Hey, big push right here. We're in a good spot, Mike. We started slow, but we're in a great spot, bro.
Some good stuff from Tyrese Halliburton, kind enough to wear a mic for us tonight, along with Ty Jerome. As foul called on Indiana on the interior, will send Hunter to the line. That'll be on Nembhard, his first, team second.
And I love the sound with Tyrese Halliburton talking about they got off to a slow start, but they're in a good spot now, and he's sitting down. I don't know if he was doing that while he was on the bench or if that's in a timeout, but either way, Tyrese Halliburton recognizing that it was the bench of this Pacers team that really came in and gave them a lift. As Rick Carlisle wants a timeout right now to talk over things. Not happy with what he's seen over the last few as the Cavs lead by 5.
The NBA Conference semifinals on ESPN are delivered by Chipotle. Real ingredients, real flavor. Chipotle, for real.
You're watching the NBA playoffs presented by Google. We are back in Indianapolis for the conference semifinals delivered by Chipotle.
And when you consider setting the pace for the Pacers, Miles Turner doing the job defensively, the block shot on one end that allows him to get the trail three on the other, scored the first 10 points of the game for the Pacers. But then when you see how Pascal Siakam gets out running, clearing the lane for Ben Shepherd to get the transition three. 8-5 advantage for the Pacers at fast break points. That's the way they were able to get back into the game to tie it at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, Cleveland jumped out to a 25-10 lead. And then Indiana finished the quarter with a 22-7 run. Kenny Atkinson told us his key tonight was going to be staying poised no matter what punches the Pacers throw. Of course, if you're the Cavs, you have to be thinking deja vu when you see yourself cough up a big lead right away. But Cavs did a nice job responding to begin this second. 6-point advantage now for Cleveland.
And the zone has helped the Cavs in this second quarter as you see the activity. Sam Merrill getting out and making things difficult for everyone on the perimeter. For the Indiana Pacers, this is the first time the Pacers have really seen this zone in the series.
Merrill can't hit the three. Rebound Siakam. Here comes Siakam. Siakam darting through, and a whistle will send Siakam to the line. Came in late, but it came. And Siakam.
How about Rick Carlisle and T.J. McConnell having a heated conversation at half court? What Coach Carlisle wanted to see that he did not see from his point guard and McConnell. But, of course, a great relationship between these two. Rick Carlisle absolutely trusts T.J. McConnell, because if he didn't, Tyrese Halliburton would be at the scores table right now.
If that conversation was not deemed productive?
Yes.
Siakam misses the free throw. Indiana 11 of 13 from the line in this game. Cleveland, meanwhile, a modest amount of attempts, but they've left some points on the line early. They're 4 of 8 from the line so far in game 3. Siakam misses both. Look at the tip. Neesmith had that key putback. Even though the last 2-minute report said should have been a lane violation against him for it, but another putback there from Neesmith.
And Neesmith just a hard to deal with on the glass, especially on the offensive end, as Donovan Mitchell unable to get the three to go. And right now the Pacers wanting to continue to push the tempo, especially if they can beat the defense down before they set up in the zone.
And Siakam travels as the Pacers turn it over.
It's been a struggle.
Their third of the game for Indiana.
And it's been somewhat of a struggle for the last five games of the playoffs for Pascal Siakam. You remember we saw him in game 3 in the Milwaukee series. He went for 28 points in that one, seemed to be playing very confident basketball. But ever since then has not been over 20 in a game, and has struggled from the field and from the free throw strike.
First 3 games averaged just under 26, was shooting 57% from 3. Since then averaging under 13, 22% from 3. Siakam 1 of 4 so far tonight from the floor. Allen had it poked away by Turner, out there playing with 2 fouls. Here's Neesmith, catch, fire, no. Mitchell 8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Mitchell no look, good movement here. Strus waits, attacks. Mitchell swims in and floats it home. That patented Donovan Mitchell move.
And that's tough. That's a tough offensive move going against really good defense by Neesmith, but there's just not much you can do to combat that against Donovan Mitchell.
Turner into the corner. Neesmith off. Indiana 5 of 12 from 3. Cleveland 6 for 14, but they started 4 of 5. Hunter, no. And that's going the other way as Nembhard gets called for the offensive foul. His second personal.
And Miles Turner having conversation with Josh Tiven and explaining to the official that it was Max Strus that actually made the initial push. But you know the rules. It's just like in school. It's always the one that retaliates.
That's right.
It's never going to be the guy that does it first. Darius Garland back on the floor with those 3 fouls. as the crowd here now gets an opportunity to see the replay.
Meanwhile, Garland, we'll see how he navigates this second quarter with those 3 personals. Garland navigated well there.
And how about the trust of Kenny Atkinson to get Darius Garland back in the game with those 3 fouls, understanding how important it was to try to keep this lead going into halftime.
8-point Cavs lead. Halliburton flips it out. Turner 3, around and off. Mobley the rebound. Here's Mobley trying to take it all the way in. Mobley gets denied. Shovels it out. Push shot is good for Allen. It's a 12-2 Cavs run. Timeout taken by the Pacers. Well, coming up next, we're going to take you to Denver for Game 3 between SGA and the Thunder and the Nuggets. 4 straight 30-point games for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Time for the second longest streak in franchise history. Time to check out this week's playoff tracker, brought to you by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. So Minnesota Golden State tomorrow night on ABC in a pivotal Game 3 tonight. 10 Eastern on ESPN. You have a swing Game 3 in Denver with that series tied at a game apiece. You just did Game 2 in Oklahoma City on ESPN Radio the other night.
And it was an absolute rout, and that was the Oklahoma City Thunder team that we've watched all season long. Deflections turning into turnovers, scoring on the other end of the floor. However, does the altitude play a part in the way the Thunder are able to play when they get to Denver? Of course, the Nuggets will be used to it. I'm not sure how acclimated the Thunder can get in such a short span of time.
12-2 Cavs run. Their lead is 10. They had a 15-point lead completely erased in the first. Toppin is short. Strus, the strong side rebound.
But look what the zone has done to the Pacers. It's forced everything from the exterior.
Strus, another offensive rebound for Cleveland. Mitchell faked the 3, just 2 of 18 from 3 entering tonight's game. He's 1 of 3 tonight. Mitchell sidestepping 3 is good. Donovan Mitchell up to 13 points.
And Donovan Mitchell able to rest a little bit more throughout this game. Doesn't have to be the primary ball handler and playmaker. He can concentrate on being the playmaker, especially at the end of the shot clock where he's able to knock down his second 3 of the evening.
A 15-2 Cleveland run. Meanwhile, Indy, who was 5 of 7 from 3 in the first quarter, is 0 of 7 in the second against this zone. Here's Neesmith, push shot, no. Mitchell lobbing it up. Allen goes up high to grab it. Strus will fire off.
I believe if Allen would have tried to finish that up with the dunk, he most likely would have gotten the call on the foul simply because it would have been such an acrobatic play, and it would have taken a lot for Miles Turner to try to deny that. You're talking about 2 guys that were way above the square when Jared Allen went to catch that.
A rare Tyrese Halliburton turnover in these playoffs. He has been incredible, and oh my. We're going to get the whistle here on Garland.
That's going to be 4.
That is number 4. And you just can't do that if you're Darius Garland. You've been essential to your team. Kenny Atkinson trusting you.
I agree that you can't do it, Ryan. But
well,
also,
I mean, you can't do that.
You can't do it, but guys do it on every play.
That overtly?
Yes.
That was egregious.
Well, the reason it was egregious because look at the way Benedict Mathurin played into it. Now, if you consider the fact that Benedict Mathurin probably weighs 50 pounds more than Darius Garland, but Benedict Mathurin probably baited Darius Garland into that, knowing that once he pushed off, he was going to fall back to force the official to see it. But you see it constantly at this level.
Smart of Mathurin, but if you're Darius Garland, you're playing with 3 fouls. You cannot two-hand shove someone in the open floor like that.
I agree wholeheartedly with you, but it's something that he's done his entire career, but it hurts him here in Game 3.
Back to the conference semifinals delivered by Chipotle. Well, Cleveland jumped out to a 15-point first quarter lead. Indiana completely erased it. It was tied at 32 after 1. But the Cavs defense has stymied Indiana in the second quarter, and the starters for Cleveland have totally outplayed Indiana's starting lineup. Meanwhile, it was the Pacers bench that got them even at the end of that first quarter.
It really was, and the Pacers bench getting them even at the first quarter, but it was the adjustment. And remember, both these coaches are playing chess right now. And the fact that Kenny Atkinson goes to the zone defensively, but look at he switched to personnel. Now it's Evan Mobley at the top of the zone, which takes away your sight lines for those guards trying to get opportunities at the top.
Turner unable to finish. Garland on the bench with 4 fouls. Allen roaming free. Gets fouled by Toppin, and Jared Allen will go to the line to shoot 2. He's 1 of 2 tonight, had been 23 for 23 from the line in these playoffs prior to the miss earlier, which that's a great number for anybody, but especially for a guy who's a 72% free throw shooter. Hey, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Be kind to yourself and each other and give total health a shot. Learn more at NBA.com/total health. Thought there was a great story the other day in The Athletic about Tyrese Halliburton and him coming to terms with his mental health in the aftermath of the Olympics and the way it affected him at the beginning of this season, kind of just reading too much negativity and having to really clear his mind, get back to finding the joy of playing, and how that and really important mental health conversations with his circle and his therapist brought him back to the outstanding season he ended up having at the finish and the playoffs he's had.
Yeah, you think about mental health, especially at the NBA level, as we see an offensive foul on Mathurin. But you start thinking about Cleveland, you got to think about Kevin Love and all that he's meant to to the mental health push throughout the NBA. And I know K Love is doing a lot of great stuff with the helping with mental health awareness throughout the NBA.
Foul on Mathurin is his second. Halliburton also talked about in that story Drew Hanlon being a huge resource for him in those conversations. Here's Merrill off to Mitchell. Mitchell finds space. Little push shot is good. 15 for Donovan Mitchell.
And Donovan Mitchell still very effective on the offensive end of the floor. Has averaged 30 field goal attempts throughout these first 2 games. And you think about right now, he's in double digits with, I believe, 12 now, but he's still being much more efficient.
Knocked away. Mitchell has it. Allen on the run through the lane. Extra feed. Mobley last hit him. And it's going to be Pacers basketball.
And Evan Mobley saying to challenge that, but I can't see as Kenny Atkinson is going to, he calls the timeout. I don't think that's a challenge. It looked as though from the naked eye that went off of Mobley from here.
Oh no, the right
doesn't.
foot of Neesmith.
Yeah.
And
yes, that is absolutely off of Neesmith's right foot.
But you know what? Cleveland was about to challenge it, and the officials conferred and changed the call before they had to.
Even better, because Kenny Atkinson signaled for the timeout.
Yeah.
So fortunately for him, the officials didn't see it, or they conferred before he was awarded that timeout.
And a whistle here against the Pacers. And Rick Carlisle is perplexed. Did not look like there was a lot there on that whistle.
Well, there's been a lot of physical play throughout this year's playoffs. And so for coaches, when you think about, what is called, what's not called, oftentimes, if it's not consistent, I believe these officials have been consistent throughout this game, but it may not be consistent to what they've seen throughout the entire playoffs. I believe that's what's perplexing for each of these coaches.
Siakam second, 4th team foul. Merrill run off, bounces. Allen again with the push shot. And Cleveland has its largest lead of the night. It's 17.
And once again, Cleveland will stay in that zone until Indiana finds a way to hurt them, which they have not been able to do as of yet.
Nembhard can't hit the 3.
Much different trying to shoot over Mobley at the top of that zone, though. I believe Mobley contested that very well, may have even gotten a hand on it.
Indiana 0 for 8 from 3 in the quarter, mostly against that zone. Allen gets fouled by Neesmith. That'll be his second. And now Allen Allen will go back to the line.
That was a tremendous job by Donovan Mitchell to be able to deliver that pass after getting his shot blocked. Is still able to gather it and drop it off to Jared Allen, who gets to the free throw line.
Jared Allen, 11 points, 5 rebounds. They're coming up on halftime, presented by Hyundai. Evan Mobley's major impact. Malika, Stephen A., Bob Myers, and Perk in the studio. How about Tyrese Halliburton? Held in check tonight. 1 of 4 from the floor, 2 points, just 2 assists. And Cleveland had done a really nice job on Halliburton in game 2 up until the final minutes of the fourth quarter.
I was just about to say it's very similar to what we saw in game 2, but Halliburton was able to get going really about this stretch at the end of the first half to start get going a little bit, and that just built on his momentum, especially at clutch time, where he's been one of the best, along with Aaron Gordon, throughout this year's playoff, both with 2 game winners.
Allen, the offensive rebound. What a dish! Jared Allen with a terrific feed to Strus for the finish.
But it's once again, it's the Cavaliers all over the glass. Now, here's the same play, and this is the concern, right? If you talk about the push-off from Darius Garland, what about the push-off of Pascal Siakam on that possession? And that's the type of things that gets coaches concerned about the consistency of the call.
Mitchell slams into Mathurin, and a whistle is going to go against Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell's second personal.
Yeah, Mitchell with the handoff, the DHO, but then running, trying to get out of the way of Benedict Mathurin. But as he runs interference in that possession, he picks up the offensive foul.
Yep. Cavs darted out to a 25-10 lead. Indiana's bench, led by Benedict Mathurin, got them square at 32 at the end of the first. But the Cavs have completely dominated this second, a 19-point lead, facing a 2-0 hole. Mathurin finishes, plus the foul.
Great cut by Mathurin. Not assuming that Siakam was going to shoot the basketball or that he was going to make the shot, so follows him right up, and we've seen him attacking the offensive glass as well, but the slot cut by Mathurin, the drop off from Siakam, and then Benedict Mathurin being able to finish through the contact and an opportunity for a 3-point play.
Strus picks up his second. I mean, who doesn't have 2 fouls at this point? Strus, Allen, Mitchell, Nesmith, Siakam, Turner, Nembhard, and Mathurin all have 2, and then Darius Garland has 4.
But with 1.5 remaining in this first half, being 2 isn't a problem. 4 is an issue.
Mitchell splits the D and lays it in. Halliburton dishes back. Siakam can't hit. Rebound Mobley. Pacers just ice cold from 3 in this second. Mitchell gives it up. Mobley able to collect it. Strus, a deep one. Short. Allen on the offensive glass, and Mobley as well. Here's Merrill, catch, fire, and hit from 3.
The Cavaliers have been all over the offensive glass. 3 opportunities on that one possession alone, allowing them to put 3 more second chance points on the board.
A 21-4 advantage in second chance points. Cleveland has 13 offensive rebounds in this first half. And that was Rick Carlisle's #1 thing he wanted improvement on from Indiana. After 2 games, he felt really good about going out to a 2-0 series lead. He said, but we got to be better on the defensive glass, and Indiana has been worse so far here in game 3. To the corner, Mobley. 7-second difference game in shot clock. Allen fumbled it. Halliburton has it. Indiana can hold for a final shot here. Halliburton pulls early, not a good decision. Siakam bails him out. Halliburton gets denied by Strus. Mitchell at the horn. And that will do it for the first half. Cleveland, with its backs against the wall, outscores Indiana 34-13 in the second. They have a 21-point lead at the half. Trying to get on the board in these Eastern Conference semis. The Pacers, a 2-0 series lead. Malika and the crew coming up next.
will be filling in for Superman.
Jason Tatum is crushing it as substitute Superman.
In crunch time, he transformed into Super Jason.
That was his ankles.
Yo, he posterized that giant robot.
I told you, he's got that dog in him.
I am not filling in for Lex Luthor. Stop asking me that.
Jason, you saved the day, but why would Superman need a day off?
I think he just wanted to watch the playoffs.
You are watching the NBA playoffs presented by Google. We're back at Indianapolis for the conference semifinals delivered by Chipotle. Game 3. As we take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Ford. The Pacers a 2-0 series lead, but the Cavs a 21-point lead at halftime here in Game 3. As we welcome back courtside Ryan Ruocco alongside Corey Alexander. And the zone of Cleveland totally changed this game in the second quarter.
It really did. When you consider that the Pacers were 0 of 11 from beyond the three-point arc, a lot of it had to do with the fact that this 3-2 zone forced them to take those threes, and even when they got the basketball inside the painted area, they're unable to finish. But it was a struggle for the Pacers offensively, trying to score over that zone, which, of course, Kenny Atkinson waited until the second quarter to implore a second quarter, which his team won by a 21-point advantage.
Yeah, had a 15-point lead in the first. Indiana stormed back to tie it at 32 at the end of the quarter, and then Cleveland built that lead up with a 34-13 second. Indiana 0 of 11 from 3 in that second, 0 of 4 against that zone, and 3 of 11 overall from the floor against the zone. For a Pacers update, let's send things over to Angel Gray.
Well, I was able to catch up with the staff for the Pacers, and I just specifically went to the numbers. He said, well, that's exactly what we have been talking about at halftime. Corey, you mentioned 0 for 11 from 3 in the second quarter because of the zone, but he said these are the numbers that we have been harping to our team. We are 6 for 19, chasing 50-50 balls. We are also getting out-rebounded. Them on the offensive glass has killed us, and they've attempted 14 more shots than us. If we want to win the game, we have to create more possessions for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, Angel, those offensive rebounding numbers were astonishing in the first half. A 13-2 edge for Cleveland, a 21-4 edge in second chance points. Siakam's shot is just off, and you could see him trying to guide it in that time.
He's starting to think about it, though, Laura, when you consider a guy that's made so many big shots throughout his career, and the way that he's taken his time and trying to line up, almost aiming those threes. And you can see that he's not playing with a tremendous amount of confidence. But here's the other thing. When you consider human nature, if you're the Indiana Pacers and you go to Cleveland and win 2 games in their building, you're immediately already thinking that you're the better team. So it's going to happen for you when you come home. What they didn't take account of is the fact that this Cleveland team, as they get 3 guys back on the roster and back in the lineup, they're going to come out fighting as a wounded animal is going to bite. And that's exactly what they have done throughout this first half. And now they start out the second half in a similar fashion.
Donovan Mitchell picks up his 3rd personal. Darius Garland had 4 fouls in the first half out there. Good contest there from Garland on Neesmith. Here is Mitchell. Allen off to Strus. Garland catch fire, making Mitchell on a 3 as Donovan Mitchell has 20 points now. He's 8 for 16 from the floor and 3 of 6 from 3. Good sign for Mitchell after he had really struggled from 3 through the first 2 games, was 2 for 18.
But Double R, 2 of those 3 threes are catch and shoot threes. Another catch and shoot opportunity. He's unable to get it to go, but he wasn't getting those shots in the first 2 games. He had to create all of his opportunities off the bounce.
Here's Siakam, the Euro, and the finish.
How about Siakam going 1-on-3 on that possession and getting the bucket still? Barely escaped the hand of Evan Mobley coming in to try to block that shot.
Garland wiggling through traffic. Off to Allen. Allen with the step on Turner slams it down.
And another uncharacteristic turnover by Nembhard. We've seen one from Halliburton in this first half, another one by Nembhard. You don't often see this from the Pacers.
Garland back iron it off. Mitchell another O board for Cleveland. Mobley working Nembhard. Here's Mobley. Backing him down and gets fouled by Nembhard. That'll be his 3rd. But you look across the Cavs starting lineup, just huge contributions. Strus with 13, 6 and 4. Evan Mobley, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Jared Allen, 15 points, 8 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And then Darius Garland, just 5 points, 3 assists. But you have felt his impact in the way he has just created rhythm for this Cavs offense.
And I believe he's taken so much of the pressure off of Donovan Mitchell to have to do everything on the offensive end of the floor. That in itself has been productive for Darius Garland being on the court.
Mitchell with the fading shot clock, another offensive rebound, and a foul called against Indiana.
You know, and it gets to a point to where it's not as though Rick Carlisle hasn't harped on it with his team. But now it's one of those things is to when it rains, it pours. And it's all of a sudden, the Indiana Pacers can't get a defensive rebound at this point. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers beating them to the punch. Even if it's a, fortunate bounce in their favor, they're getting to every one of the 50-50 balls.
They call that foul on Halliburton. It's been a very quiet night for Tyrese Halliburton, 1 of 6 from the floor, 2 points, 3 assists. Anything you look at as to how Indiana could try and get Tyrese going here?
Well, honestly, at this point, I believe it's up to Tyrese to get himself going. But when you consider the fact that now Cleveland is going to predominantly play the zone until Indiana finds a way to get them out of it, that means that the driving lanes are going to be cut off for Tyrese Halliburton. And that's where he does his best work when he's playing getting downhill.
Mobley gets downhill and finishes. It's a 24-point Cavs lead, facing a 2-0 series hole.
And it looks as though the Cavs have gone back to their man-to-man defensively, so this is where Halliburton has to be aggressive.
Nembhard can't hit. Nembhard's been terrific in these playoffs, but just 1 of 6 tonight. He had 13 assists in game 2. Garland back ironing off, and a rare defensive rebound from Indiana. Here's Nesmith digging inside and finishing through the contact as Donovan Mitchell took a little shot to the gut. And Kenny Atkinson will take a timeout. Cavs a 22-point lead early in the 3rd.
ESPN Bet Sportsbook has you covered all playoffs long. Keep up with big-time matchups, get daily profit boosts, and tell exclusive picks from Stephen A. Smith. Right now, you can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Sign up with promo code HOOPS.
Performance brought to you by Coors Light. Out at the offensive rebounding from Cleveland tonight.
It would absolutely be all over the glass for the Cavaliers, continuing to pursue the basketball. When they don't get it and score second chance points, they go get it again. Great ball movement allows them to knock down the 3 ball. And then even after on missed free throws, they're able to finish. It's a 23-4 advantage tonight in this one. But how about this, Double R? In the 2 games that Evan Mobley has played in, it is a 44-8 advantage for Cleveland in second chance points in this series. That's talking about being a difference maker there.
Yeah, that is a remarkable difference. And you saw those numbers tonight on the offensive glass with a 23-4 edge in second chance points. I mean, just getting back as Strus lays it in. Mobley, Garland, Hunter. Those are 3 of your top 6 players. Those are 2 All-Stars, one of whom's the Defensive Player of the Year, and then also a guy who is a candidate for 6th Man of the Year. Obviously, that's a ridiculous injection of talent when it comes to, hey, how do you get back in the series? Well, that helps.
It absolutely helps, but also allows everyone else to go back to their natural role. It allows Ty Jerome to be able to come off the bench and play freely the way that he's played all season long. It allows Sam Merrill and Dean Wade to go back to their natural positions where they're not having to be relied upon to be starters.
Nesmith buries the 3. Indiana had missed 13 straight 3s before that make. Here's Mitchell in the corner, connects. Donovan Mitchell now with 23 points.
And another catch and shoot 3 as Miles Turner struggling to get up. We saw Turner go down in transition, was the primary defender on Mobley there, but took a fall in the middle of the painted area.
Here's Siakam giving it up. Nesmith behind the back. Turner lumbering and laying.
Good to see Turner able to make it through. And Thomas Bryant, who's at the scores table to check in for Turner. James Johnson actually was waving him back. Turner with a huge block on the other end. And right now, it's Miles Turner still gimpy, trying to get up and down the floor, but doing the job on both ends.
Halliburton pops it in.
Miles Turner's not okay, though. He's going to have to come out of this game right now. He's still struggling, even though he's coming up with block shots and buckets.
Strus turns the corner and hammers it down. Max Strus delivering in game 3 as Mobley soars for the rejection.
And you think you can get it over the top of the defensive player of the year. However, Mobley's still able to cover up so much ground, denying that opportunity from Halliburton, who was a little lackadaisical going to the rim on that one. Even though he saw Mobley coming, he felt as though he could get that shot on the glass first, but denied.
And I think Miles Turner was indicating I had to go back to the locker room, and he will. So that is something to keep an eye on. Forget about whatever's going to transpire the rest of game 3. That is something that obviously would impact the series depending on how Turner is.
Turner getting caught up with Aaron Nesmith as he tries to sprint out to the corner and crawling off the floor, just trying to get out of the way of other bodies that could possibly land on him. Not sure if it was his ankle, but definitely a lower leg injury to the right leg. So hopefully we get to see Miles Turner back in this game, especially after he gets a bucket and a block shot while dealing with the injury.
He's had a great postseason. Garland caught his own air ball. It's going to be a travel. Miles Turner had a great piece in the Players Tribune this week talking about his love of Indiana. 10 years here now as a Pacer. Went through all kinds of trade rumors year after year. Has performed so well at both ends in these playoffs. And he used a phrase that I thought was so great. Said, as a team, we have elite role clarity. And you've seen that from the connectivity and harmony of Indiana in their march into these Eastern Conference semis and a 2-0 lead.
And you see how important it is for each and every one of the Pacers to play their role. Coming into this game, in the 7 playoff games, they have 5 guys averaging 16 or more points, and here's the role of many of them getting out in transition and making plays. Andrew Nembhard, Tyrese Halliburton connecting on 3 fast break points to cut the lead down to 18. Still Cleveland in control.
Now this week's playoff tracker brought to you by Pepsi. Pacers a 2-0 lead on the Cavs, but Cleveland an 18-point lead in the third quarter here of game 3. Tomorrow afternoon on ABC, the Knicks return home after taking 2 games in Boston. 2 dramatic comebacks. First team in the play-by-play tracking era, which goes back to 1998, to win consecutive playoff games in which they trailed by 20. And you know Madison Square Garden is going to be absolutely up for grabs tomorrow night.
And similar to that series, just like for the Boston Celtics tomorrow, the Cleveland Cavaliers here tonight, you have to win this game. You're going to have a comfortable lead going into that fourth quarter because you're always going to be considering in the back of your mind, you know that this team is capable of making a miraculous comeback, which they've shown in the last 2 games of the Boston-New York series. And right now for these Cleveland Cavaliers, they want to continue to keep their foot on the gas pedal. They don't want to allow the Pacers to build any momentum here on their home floor.
Indiana on a mini 8-2 run. Jerome and a whistle before the shot. Let's get an update right now on Miles Turner's injury status from Angel Gray.
Yeah, he spent the last few minutes in the locker room for the right ankle. Right now, I'm being told that his ankle is being retaped. He is available to return, and going to your point as well, Ryan, just about his fight. And it's going to take a lot to keep him out of this game and series. He mentioned his admiration of being with this team, how they're leaving everything on the floor as we see him going to the scorer's table to check in now. He's leaving everything for this group and excited about what this particular team can do.
Thank you very much, Angel. See Miles Turner going to the scorer's table. Here's Nembhard, another 3. Is good. Indiana showing signs of life in this third, an 11-2 run. Mitchell gets bumped, finishes, plus the foul.
And that's the way you combat the run. That's why Donovan Mitchell will be an all-NBA performer this year. He's been that guy for the Cleveland Cavaliers when adversity goes against you. As we've seen now, Andrew Nembhard knocked down 2 threes in this third quarter. Is Donovan Mitchell coming back the other end, getting downhill, absorbing the bump from Thomas Bryant, and getting to the free throw line to quiet this crowd once again.
25 points for Donovan Mitchell, who has the frame to absorb bumps.
Never been a problem for Spike.
Kenny Atkinson always talks about just how elite Donovan Mitchell's fitness, diet, consistency is.
And now Cleveland back to the zone. DeAndre Hunter up front. Of course, an elite defender, but not the difference maker that Evan Mobley is at the top of the key. We'll have to see where Indy looks to get their shots from, especially after a halftime for Rick Carlisle to be able to make adjustments.
And we saw it in that second quarter, Corey. Indiana, we know they want to get in the paint, they want to spray. This zone forcing them with so much side to side, not able to create the kind of looks they're used to when their offense is in rhythm. As Bryant can't finish, it looked like he might have gotten fouled by Allen.
There was contact on that possession, but when we see it again, we'll notice if Bryant was the one who made the contact, as DeAndre Hunter's right sprained thumb seems to look really good.
And Rick Carlisle going nuts right now at center court. Absolutely beside himself over no whistle on the other end on the layup attempt. And obviously a huge swing as it led to the Hunter three. A technical foul given to Carlisle.
Rick Carlisle upset about the fact that there was no call on that Thomas Bryant attempt, as Thomas Bryant is still having a conversation with Bill Kennedy.
So the tee on Carlisle, who was upset at this not being called a foul. Let's take a look.
So this is the reason it wasn't called. As Jarrett Allen goes into the air, Thomas Bryant jumps into Jarrett Allen. Now again, Rick Carlisle absolutely wants that call, and I don't blame him for that, but at the angle that we saw, it does look as though Jarrett Allen goes straight up and down, and it's Thomas Bryant trying to get into the body.
Yeah, that replay, it certainly looked like a good no call.
Agree. That would not be popular here, though.
Yeah,
Glad people in the arena aren't listening to us.
21-point Cavs lead, 6 straight from Cleveland. After Indiana was making a push, Obi Toppin can't get it to drop in. Allen able to muscle the rebound away. His 10th, a double-double for Jarrett Allen. Here's Mitchell in the corner, can't hit the three. And Allen a one-handed rebound. And a whistle against Thomas Bryant.
How about the work that Jarrett Allen is doing on the offensive glass? Not only he, but he and Evan Mobley together have been dominant on the offensive glass throughout this game.
And he doesn't even get rewarded with that rebound because of the foul.
I think he'll take the 2 free
So
throws.
in the history of basketball, that one-handed, left-handed rebound from Allen didn't exist. It's time for the upcoming playoff schedule, brought to you by Snapdragon. Tomorrow on ABC, Celtics at the Knicks, Timberwolves at the Warriors, ABC Sunday Game 4, Thunder in Denver, TNT Sunday, Cavs and the Pacers. For more on these games, please go to NBA.com or visit the NBA app. To your point, though, Corey, the way he has worked on the offensive glass, the way Cleveland as a team has worked on the glass all game long, just felt that desperation, that energy.
Uh-oh.
And now a tee called against Thomas Bryant.
And Thomas Bryant, who had already checked out of the game. And again, you know, as a coach, as Rick Carlisle goes over to have a conversation with Thomas Bryant right now, it's one thing as a coach for you to do it. But as Rick Carlisle's asking Thomas Bryant right now, for what? What's the purpose of that? Other than to help Cleveland here on our home floor. And coaches will tell you all the time, let me defend you. Don't go out and try to do it on your own, because that's how you hurt your team. Rick Carlisle wanted the technical foul, wanted to make sure he got his point across, but you can't afford to have those from the players on the bench.
24-point Cleveland lead. Indiana had gotten on an 11-2 run, cut into 15. But Cleveland has responded with a 9-0 run as McConnell ends it there with his jumper. 3:15 to go in the third. Mitchell hops away, dishes out. Mitchell has 27 points in this game. Jerome's shot still has been off. He is 1 of 5. Make it 1 of 6 now. McConnell gets fouled by Merrill, and McConnell will shoot 2. And you hear the derisive cheers from the crowd here in Indiana.
But that's a long rebound off a missed 3. A long rebound allows T.J. McConnell to push the basketball down the floor and get to the painted area before the Cavaliers can set up that zone.
McConnell hits the first. Rick Carlisle and Thomas Bryant both receiving technical fouls over the last few minutes. As McConnell hits both free throws. Mitchell, Mobley, Merrill, Hunter, and Jerome, the 5 for Cleveland, as Mitchell just works his way across the timeline with Mathurin guarding him. Mitchell step back, rims out. McConnell the board out there with Halliburton, Toppin, Turner, and Mathurin. McConnell weaving, kicking, Toppin, and hit the 3. Mitchell, 7th rebound. Donovan Mitchell, what a pass. Merrill can't hit. Toppin soars in for the board, looking to beat traffic. And as it's stripped out of bounds, it'll stay with Indy.
That was a tremendous job defensively by Sam Merrill, who missed the corner 3, but did not even watch. Sprinted back down the floor to be able to affect Obi Toppin and not allow him to get that shot off. And Kenny Atkinson's going to challenge that,
yeah.
Yes.
And it looks like it's a challenge he'll win. Now the Cavaliers challenging this out of bounds call, but was there any foul proximate to the play that may have caused the out of bounds? It looks like it last hits Toppin. We'll see another angle here.
And from what I see, that's only contact with the hand. The hand is a part of the ball. The wrist is not. So I believe that is going to be Cleveland's basketball. It should be a successful challenge.
Agree.
From Kenny Atkinson on that one. Merrill does a tremendous job getting back, even if it's just taking away the 2 points and forcing the Pacers to have to run some offense to get that bucket. But when you consider that he missed that corner 3 and sprinted 94 feet.
Rick Carlisle wants to make the call.
Upon review, it's been determined that there was a proximate foul by Merrill after the gather.
Wow.
Therefore, Indiana will be awarded 2 free throws, as is after the gather be 2 shots.
Now that's always the danger in hastily challenging the out of bounds, is making sure you also assess not just who it hit, but was there a foul proximate to it. I don't think it's going to be on the hand. I think it's going to be on the
unsuccessful challenge.
Arm, on the body.
Cleveland will be charged for the timeout.
That may have impeded the progress of Toppin. I'm guessing that's what they're getting, Merrill. But even still, Corey, I'm not so sure that looks like a foul.
But would it have been the arm on the body by Merrill? Because it looked as honestly more so it was Toppin that created the contact with the right arm going to the basket. But hey, it's already been adjudicated. It's not on us to determine.
But I'm with you. That was, sometimes you look at those out of bounds calls and there is an obvious foul that was missed, and that's why the ball went out of bounds on player A. In this case, there was no obvious foul there on Merrill. But
it was a free throw missed. So of course, my boy sitting in his crib back in Durham, She Wallace yelling ball don't lie on that one. But when you consider the fact that, you know, it's a 1-point possession in comparison to getting the easy dunk.
Yep.
Give Sam Merrill a lot of credit for hustling back on that play and at least stopping 1 point from the Pacers.
DeAndre Hunter back in for Cleveland. Here's Strus lobbing it up to Mobley, who oops the alley.
And a great job by Strus recognizing that there's no one coming from that opposite side to tag, so allowing Mobley to be able to finish up top.
6 assists in this game for Max Strus. Halliburton dishes out. Halliburton just 4 points, 4 assists, and a whistle here against Cleveland.
But how about Tyrese Halliburton? And you talk about his lack of field goal attempts in this game. He catches the basketball in the middle of the zone, but he never looks at the basket. His immediate thought is to pass it out to Bennedict Mathurin, to a point to where Evan Mobley even stepped in to try to guard him.
Mathurin hits the first. They coming up next. We will take it to Denver. Game 3 between the Thunder and the Nuggets. The Joker, already 3 triple-doubles in these playoffs, had a ridiculous game 1 that gave Denver the win. OKC responded in game 2. A swing game 3 tonight on ESPN. As Mathurin hits both. 19-point Cleveland lead. They trail 2-0 in this best-of-7 Eastern Conference semis. Drops 2 at home, trying to get on the board here on the road. Hunter with a hand in his face, unable to hit. Long rebound, Turner secures it. Here comes Mathurin. Off the top in. Can't hit the 3. McConnell bats it alive into the corner. Mathurin connects.
And it's this group with Bennedict Mathurin, T.J. McConnell, and Obi Toppin on the floor that made the change in the first quarter for the Indiana Pacers. And as of right now, getting the lead down to 16, starting to build some momentum here from their home floor.
Third foul on Turner. Indiana over the limit. And Mobley at the line. Hits the first. Well, and you talked about it, Corey. With the way Indiana has outscored Cleveland in the fourth quarters in the first 2 games of this series, if you're the Pacers, just want to be in striking distance, get the Cavs thinking dark thoughts.
And the Cavs are going to think dark thoughts regardless. And so the closer the Pacers can get by the end of this third quarter, it's always going to be creeping into the back of the Cavaliers' mind. Maybe not Donovan Mitchell, but for everyone else, it's going to be a thought process to where they're going to be considering how they maintain the lead.
1 minute to go in this third. Halliburton against the zone, peering in, deflected, Toppin saves it. Hunter fouls Mathurin, and free throws coming for Bennedict Mathurin as he and DeAndre Hunter exchange some close gazes, and now some words as well. And you can see Mark Davis saying, no, we're not having that. And a double technical foul called against Hunter and Mathurin.
And I like it. And the reason why I like it, no advantage to either team. However, it's keeping control of the game. Mark Davis recognizing as DeAndre Hunter and Bennedict Mathurin come back with a little bit of conversation, you nip it in the bud early to make sure that it doesn't escalate on a later play.
Mathurin up to 19 points. They've been staring at each other prior and then started chirping, and Mark Davis said right away, nah.
That is great officiating by Mark Davis, because one thing you don't want to do, you can understand how competitive this game is going to become in the fourth quarter. You don't want to throw any type of igniter fluid at all on the fire that it's going to be to make sure you keep this game as clean as possible going down the stretch.
Big possessions here at the end of this third. Indiana on a 12-4 run. Their last 7 points from Mathurin, who has 20 off the bench. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell navigates, kicks. Hunter flags it down. 5 to shoot. Hunter can't finish. Mobley does, but a whistle prior to that. The Indiana crowd is upset. Felt like it should have been a double dribble on Hunter, as he had maybe used one prior to gathering control, or in the process of getting control, and then dribbled again after, but the officials did not count that first dribble as anything other than him gaining control of the basketball. Hunter eventually fouled and hits the first. Let's see, Corey.
So does he dribble to catch it? Or does the ball hit his hand and then he gathers it? Yeah. That's the question. It doesn't look like a controlled dribble to get the basketball, which means I think it's valid.
I think that was the right call. About a 10-second difference game in shot clock. Will Indiana hurry into a 2-for-1? Here's Mathurin backing away. The 2-for-1 is gone. Halliburton, McConnell into the teeth of the zone. Bunny jumper is good. Shot clock turned off. Mitchell lost it, able to flag it down and lay it up and in.
And took the shot a little early, but when you get a clean layup like that, you have to take advantage of it.
29 for Mitchell. Halliburton dishes. Toppin will let it fly. No. And that will do it for the third. Indiana, a little 14-8 push at the end of the quarter, but it's Cleveland who leads by 18 after 3.
And Cleveland was able to do it behind Spider getting into the painted area. The opportunity for 3, it takes advantage of it, and Max Strus going up high to Evan Mobley, who puts it down.
Welcome back to the conference semifinals delivered by Chipotle. I'm here with Miles Turner. Coach at half told me that the challenge was understanding the importance of creating more opportunities and possessions. How would you assess how your team did?
We can definitely be a lot better in a lot of different areas offensively, but everything's on the glass right now, man. I think we got to compete defensively, and our offense take care of itself.
You guys have been in this position before. You guys have a knack for coming back, being down big. What is the necessary things for you to do to close out this game?
You got to believe. It's all little things. Diving on the floor, making necessary plays, and honestly, I still think we got a chance, so about to get to it.
Thank you.
All right, well, a stop to start the fourth. Thank you, Angel, for Indiana. Here's McConnell.
In a zone defensively, but a different zone, a 2-3 zone right now for the Cavaliers to start this third as they morph it into a man-to-man, but not the same level of length on the floor.
Siakam on the follow, able to finish.
In which, without that length on the floor, no Jared Allen and 2 bigs on the floor right now, gives an opportunity for Siakam to pick up those second chance points.
Garland buries the 3. Huge shot there from Darius Garland, who picked up 4 fouls in the first half, has managed to avoid his 5th so far in the second. Oh, nice dish. Toppin to Siakam, plus the foul.
And that was a great cut by Pascal Siakam. Obi Toppin seemed to be in trouble underneath the basket, but with the great cut by Siakam, making himself available, he gets the dunk and the opportunity at the free throw line to make it.
Third foul on Strus. Mitchell and Garland each have 4. Siakam, 10 points. The high man for the Pacers is Mathurin with 20 off the bench.
And Siakam is the first player for the Pacers in double digits in field goal attempts. And so you consider that there are 4 guys who have taken over 10 shots for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but the first one for Indiana to hit double digits. And by the way, Tyrese Halliburton, only 8 field goal attempts in this game, 2 of 8 from the field.
Here's Garland, first game in 2 weeks. Coming back from the sprained toe, he's looked good. Garland gets pushed from behind by Mathurin. And Garland is going to the line. 4th foul on Benedict Mathurin.
And you have to keep an eye on Garland, because any type of explosive play as such, you always want to see how they respond from an injury, and dealing with a toe, which is so unpredictable. Always going to be a challenge for Darius Garland, as All the Pacer fans want a challenge here. I don't believe they're going to get it from Rick Carlisle.
Garland hits the first, and the NBA playoffs continue Sunday. Western Conference semifinal. Game 4 between the Thunder and the Nuggets, 3:30 Eastern. Coverage tips with the Countdown crew at 3. Now in Game 2, we all know about the comeback down 7 in the final minute. In that fourth, the largest lead that Cleveland had was 14 that Indiana came back from to win. Right now, the lead is 18 for the Cavs here in the fourth quarter of Game 3.
I think what's important for the Cavs in this one is continue to play to win. Play as though the game is 0-0. Don't try to save the lead and become passive.
Toppin finds Siakam reversing it in, and Siakam finding some creases through his cuts.
Yeah, great start in this fourth quarter for Siakam, who's starting to find a little bit of rhythm offensively, and that is a welcome sight for the Indiana Pacers, considering that they haven't been able to get much offensively from Siakam throughout this series.
He already has 7 in the quarter. Mobley stood up by Siakam. Great defensive stand there, and then a foul is going to go against Nesmith. It looked like the rebound was clearly Siakam's off and running, but Nesmith grabbed down Hunter and is called for the foul.
DeAndre Hunter going for offensive rebound, and Nesmith has a handful of jersey.
Yep.
And so a great job by the baseline official. I'm not sure which of our guys was on the baseline there, but recognizing that and making the call, and for all of the Indiana fans twirling their finger looking for a replay, Rick Carlisle's smarter than that. He's already been told, don't challenge this one by his back bench.
Now, how do you look at that replay with a fistful of jersey and twirl the finger?
Well, they do sell alcohol here, right?
Here's Allen turning the corner and laying it in. Here's Toppin. Finds the cutter. McConnell has played some big minutes here in the second half.
A number of great cuts as TJ McConnell is having out with Mark Davis, not getting back on defense on that possession. Thought he should be getting a free throw after the made bucket.
10 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists for McConnell. Hunter back ironing off. Long rebound tracked down by Mitchell. His 8th board to go with his 29 points. Mitchell. Oh, what a move. Kick, Wade, short.
Great play by Donovan Mitchell. That's one you're begging Dean Wade to knock down the 3-ball after all the work Mitchell did to get him a great look.
Siakam has Garland in the mismatch. Siakam. Crowd wanting a foul, didn't get it. Toppin finds McConnell. He got it. And it is a 14-point game.
And that's been the answer for the Pacers in this fourth quarter thus far. They're going to get an offensive foul on that one. That's going to be Dean Wade. TJ McConnell picking up full court and now getting the crowd involved. Not only with his energy and his effort, but going over and begging them to get on their feet after picking up 94 feet. And forcing Dean Wade to stick out the leg to foul him, getting the possession back for the Pacers.
McConnell remains out there. He's been terrific. Halliburton on the bench. He has struggled tonight. Here's McConnell speeding into the lane. They need it. Siakam has it.
The NBA Conference semifinals on ESPN are delivered by Chipotle. Real ingredients, real flavor. Chipotle, for real.
Pascal Siakam has outscored the Cleveland Cavaliers in this fourth quarter. 4 buckets for him off the offensive rebound. He's able to finish in traffic, and then a great cut making himself available to Obi Toppin once again. Toppin finding Siakam on the cut, and then the most welcome sign of all, knocking down a huge corner 3-ball off the find of TJ McConnell.
It's an 11-point game. Let's get things over to Angel Gray.
Double R and Corey, before the game, a reminder that Coach Atkinson, when we asked him what he wanted to see, not just from the start, but also the finish, finished, he started the huddle with keep composure, keep poise. He said, I want to make sure that my core group closes this game, and we have been clutch all season for a reason, wanting that out of this huddle.
Great look there on a nice play out of the timeout. Thank you, Angel. Merrill unable to hit the three. Here's Mitchell.
But that was a smart shot by Merrill for this reason. As Mitchell gets the second chance points, it was a 3-on-1. So by Merrill taking that three, he had two guys on his team to come up with that offensive rebound, which Donovan Mitchell does, and then, of course, ends up turning it into a bucket.
Here's Mathurin jittering, able to finish through the contact. Benedict Mathurin with 22 off the bench. And Rick Carlisle continuing to ride this group of five as well. And
Rick Carlisle is going to continue to attack that matchup with Darius Garland, knowing that he's hobbled and playing with 4 fouls.
As Mitchell buries the three, 34 for Donovan Mitchell. Here's Siakam. Siakam twisting off his leg, out of bounds. Nice defensive stand on the interior from Jarrett Allen.
Double R, do you remember when we talked at the beginning of the fourth quarter and I said it's going to creep into the mind of all the Cleveland Cavaliers, well, maybe not Donovan Mitchell? And right now, Donovan Mitchell is playing as though this game is 0-0. He's not trying to keep a score. He's simply trying to win a basketball game. So whatever has to happen from Donovan Mitchell for the final 12 minutes of this game, he is going to do it in this fourth quarter.
Here's Mitchell. Gets it across the timeline. Mitchell directing traffic, 10 to shoot. The lead is 14 for Cleveland. Mitchell stops, kicks, Strus, you bet! Max Strus delivers a huge three, and the lead is back to 17 for Cleveland.
How about the response from the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road? Spider Mitchell has getting buckets, and now he's dropping dimes. Max Strus with a huge three.
Knock down. Knock down. Knock down. Knock down. Hey! I love it, Max. I love it, Max. We good, baby. We good. We good. Yeah, take it, Sam. Middle. Yeah, go. Hey, go. Sam, drop. Middle. I'm going to keep finding windows then. Say less. Win the quarter, win the game, Don. Win the quarter, win the game, Don.
Win the quarter, win the game, Ty Jerome saying. Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell, after Indiana had closed to within 11. Mitchell hit a couple threes, orchestrated another, and a foul here on a great effort from Strus. Miles Turner will go to the line. Rick Carlisle turning back to Nembhard, Turner, and Halliburton, leaving Toppin and Mathurin on the floor. Cleveland goes with its starting five: Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, and Strus.
And Cleveland also goes to a zone. However, Rick Carlisle prepared for that zone, as a great UVA guy would be. You heard the conversation by Ty Jerome, UVA talking it up.
I knew UVA would make it into the broadcast at some point.
You got Rick Carlisle, you got Jenny Busek on one side. Of course, you got DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome on the other side. I have to.
No, it's a big night for the university.
It is absolutely a huge night for the university.
Mobley secures the rebound. 6:40 to go in the fourth quarter of game three. Garland loses it, and Mathurin ties him up. We're going to have a jump ball here.
Here's the concern. Does Darius Garland get up from this with the toe? And is he able to put pressure on it? You can tell right now. You saw when he went down on the replay. Watch as he loses the basketball, immediately stubbing the toe, grimacing. And again, if anyone who's ever just stubbed their toe alone on a piece of furniture at home, imagine walking around on that for the next 10 minutes. But more importantly, having to go play a basketball game at this level again. And you can see that it is definitely affecting Darius Garland. He may not even jump on this jump ball.
He got up, but Mathurin wins it, and Indiana has it. Down 16, still a lot of time left. Toppin, quick move, but couldn't finish it. Mobley able to save it in bounds for Cleveland.
Strong defensive presence by the defensive player of the year right there, guarding off the bounce and then able to affect the shot, but more importantly, come up with the defensive board.
And he's been incredible defensively tonight. Here's Mitchell. Cuts between the D. Mitchell got bumped. Can't hit the floater, but will shoot two. And Donovan Mitchell squirmed on the ground for a moment and then sprung up and will go to the line.
Donovan Mitchell, like a great running back, oftentimes won't even allow his teammates to pick him up. He wants to get himself up off the hardwood, as you see the push here.
Yeah, that could have been a flagrant, absolutely. He's in a vulnerable position in the air. I think you could have absolutely deemed that contact unnecessary.
I don't believe that Kenny Atkinson got a good look at that, because as he's talking to Billy Kennedy right now, it's not even something that he's thinking about. But as you see, it's not just this one. It's the other hand coming on, the two-hand push in the back. Absolutely, if it had been reviewed, most likely because it would have been deemed unnecessary and a flagrant one foul.
Yeah, you have the player in the air in a vulnerable position with that second shove, not making a play on the ball, and contact that absolutely looked unnecessary. The Toppin checks out. No review for a possible upgrade there. And Mitchell, just another excellent playoff performance from Donovan Mitchell. He has 36 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Halliburton back into the game on a quiet night. Mathurin in and out.
And you mentioned Donovan Mitchell averaging 40.5 points per game in this series, on his way to another 40 ball. 5:50 remaining in this game, and you know we're going to hear a lot from him as this game goes along.
Mitchell veers, floats, can't hit. Poked out of bounds by Nesmith. It'll stay with Cleveland with 5:41 to go, and the Cavs leading 114-96. Here's Mitchell firing in and out. Nesmith the box out. Nembhard, high steps.
Oh, that's a great defensive play by Mitchell.
And at last hit, Indiana.
And Mitchell playing with 4 fouls. So.
And a delay a game on Indiana. It's their second. And so a free throw here, a technical free throw for Cleveland.
Andrew Nembhard was a little bothered by the fact that he didn't get a call on that possession. Held the basketball up. And getting that second delay of game, allowing Donovan Mitchell to get back to the free throw line and cash in on it. And now the lead back up to 19 for the Cavaliers.
9-1 Cavs run. Mitchell has 37 points. Strus battling against the pressure, gets it up to Mitchell. Mitchell soars in, cups it home, plus the foul. Playoff Donovan in all his glory.
I believe it was LaDainian Tomlinson, the great running back, that every time he got tackled, he would jump off the floor and not allow his teammates to come pick him up. Watch Donovan Mitchell as he takes the contact and is able to finish through the contact. The great English off the glass to get a bucket, as we've got another technical foul.
This time it's on Nembhard. So Mitchell, this free throw for another 40-point night. Misses that one. He's about to get another one to try and complete that three-point play, and even 40 points. They to average at least 28 in their playoff careers.
And it is a who's who on that.
40 points for Donovan Mitchell in the biggest game of the season for Cleveland, facing a 2-0 hole. Their superstar delivers.
And a great play defensively by Donovan Mitchell, getting over and taking away the roller. not just tagging, but coming up with the steal, running through the passing lane of Miles Turner.
Mitchell soaring in, gets fouled again. And Donovan Mitchell's going right back to the line.
But you notice how Donovan Mitchell is continuing to stay in attack mode. He's not pulling the basketball out, trying to kill time off the clock. Doesn't want to get passive at this point in the game. Wants to continue to attack, getting downhill. And now he's going to get everyone on the Pacers roster in foul trouble as he gets downhill.
Dramatic difference tonight between the production of Mitchell compared to the production of Halliburton, who was held completely in check. And Rick Carlisle is going to empty the bench with 5 minutes to go here in Game 3, knowing it is not going to be his team's night. Thomas Bryant and James Johnson will get some minutes.
I'm not sure if he's emptying the bench, but when you send James Johnson into the game, it's to send a message. So it's going to be interesting to see, because you still have Nembhard, Halliburton, and Mathurin on the floor. Rick Carlisle is not waving the white flag. He's sending a message right now that this game is going to be played physical, that he's going to get James Johnson on the floor to make sure that he shows his teammates and the Cleveland Cavaliers what physical is all about.
It's a great point. Donovan Mitchell has 13 of the last 16 for Cleveland, and a whistle here. So it's going to go against Indiana.
I'm not going to call myself a prophet, but did you see the screen against Max Strus?
Oh, yes.
And for the record, this is a screen. This is okay, we're going to play physical. I'm going to show you what physical is about. He has 5 more fouls to give, and I guarantee you, he is not going to leave here with fouls in his pocket.
Kenny Atkinson earlier in the series felt like there was excessive physicality from Indiana. Allen's push shot no good, and Mobley gets fouled on the attempted putback. And you wonder if Kenny Atkinson starts to think about getting some of his guys out of the game. Still 4:35 to go.
You can't. Not with the way things have gone for them, especially in Game 2 with the comeback. Even though you're up a significant amount, you have 24 points. It's still too early, and I'm a big fan of getting your guys out of the game, resting them, and making sure they don't get injured. But if you're Kenny Atkinson right now, I don't think that you're even feel comfortable with a 25-point lead with 4:35 remaining.
And Mobley hits both. A 16-1 Cleveland run after Indiana had this building popping and cut it to 11 with 8:22 to go. James Johnson gets fouled and will shoot 2.
And this is a league favorite. He's one of, this is a favorite teammate everywhere. Is one of those guys where everybody walks away saying they love being teammates with this guy for a number of reasons.
Coming up next, we'll take you to Denver. Game 3, Thunder Nuggets. SGA a plus 51 in Game 2. Best by any player in the playoffs since at least 1998. That's when our tracking data for that goes back to.
And that is the reason, or one of the reasons, that I've said that he's the MVP of this year's season. He won the plus-minus battle. We won't even call it a battle. He won the plus-minus contest by over 300 points to the next best player in the NBA throughout this season. If there's one thing that shows how valuable you are, not just to your team, but to the league, it would be that number.
Here is Mathurin. Pacers getting ready to empty the rest of the bench now. And you wonder, will that tempt Kenny Atkinson into doing the same with a 25-point lead and 4 minutes to go?
Kenny Atkinson actually put Darius Garland back in the game after taking him out for Sam Merrill about 2 minutes ago, getting Garland back on the floor, recognizing there's going to be pressure from the Pacers, so wants to have that other ball handler on the court.
Mathurin misses the first free throw. Coming up next, OKC Denver, a swing game 3. Quiet night for Tyrese Halliburton. He's had a loud postseason, been an incredibly clutch performer, but just 4 points, 5 assists, 2 of 8 from the floor in this game 3. Mathurin with 23 off the bench for Indiana. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell gets fouled again. And Mitchell will go to the line to shoot 2. I understand what you're saying. If I'm Kenny Atkinson, with the injuries that they've dealt with this series, I'm leaning towards getting some of these guys out of here sooner than later with a 24-point lead and 3:44 to go.
I get it, but when you're considered Kenny Atkinson, after you saw what happened in game 2 with 7-point lead with 50 seconds remaining.
When you multiply that over a few times.
Multiply that by 344.
Yeah.
He still isn't comfortable at this point. I believe after our last media timeout, most likely he will get those guys out of the game.
Get Mobley out here as the Cavs faithful behind their bench applaud. Big time return for Evan Mobley, who hurt his ankle the end of game 1, did not play in game 2. 18 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and menacing defense from Evan Mobley.
Isaac Okoro was coming into the game to get Donovan Mitchell, right? Donovan Mitchell looks at Darius Garland and says, go sit down. Knowing that he's dealing with the toe, whatever it may be, and Darius is looking back at him like, no, and he's saying, go to the bench. Darius walks off the court like the little brother who had made go home from the park. Couldn't stay and play anymore.
Bryant thunders it down. Ty Jerome now waiting at the scorer's table. He presumably will come and get Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell with another 40-plus point performance, 43 so far tonight. Mitchell going for a little more. The kick, Wade. Allen another board, his 12th. Throws it into the backcourt, and the turnover will get Mitchell out of the game. A remarkable performance from Donovan Mitchell. With his team facing the potential of going down 3-0 in the series, Mitchell delivers 43 points, 9 rebounds, and a game 3 win.
And Donovan Mitchell just thinking to himself, look what can happen when you get some help. And he had a number of guys step up, getting Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter back on the floor in this game was more than enough help to allow them to build this 23-point lead with 3:09 remaining. Kenny Atkinson at this point feeling a little more comfortable to take his starters off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Strus, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Mobley, 18 and 13. Allen, 19 and 12. Okoro the steal, and he gets fouled on the attempted layup.
But look at it this way. Okoro, who actually was starting games for this team throughout the season, just now getting into this. This is a very deep Cleveland team. They have a plethora of talent and guys who play very well within Kenny Atkinson's system. But in game 3, when it's a must-win game for you, you're going to shorten that rotation and make sure you keep those core guys on the floor as long as you possibly can. Isaac Okoro coming off the bench right now, but part of that stay-ready group to make sure he can do the job whenever he's called upon.
Yeah, Okoro, who had averaged 22 minutes a game in the first 2 games of this series, but in this one, not a part of the rotation. Kenny Atkinson going with 9 with Jerome, Hunter, Wade, and Merrill off the bench. And a move that worked for Kenny Atkinson, as did his timing of going zone in that second quarter. Cleveland had jumped out to a 25-10 lead. Indiana stormed back, tied it at 32 at the end of the first. But then Cleveland went zone in the second and totally stymied The Pacers offense held them to 13 points in the second, outscored them by 21. And the Cavs have controlled the game since.
James Johnson coming up with the block, already getting a bucket earlier on the last possession, showing he can still play. He's not just on this roster to be an enforcer. And this is something to keep an eye on, because one thing Rick Carlisle knows he's going to get from James Johnson is physicality and effort. Don't be shocked if we see him in the rotation earlier in Game 4, especially after the way that Cleveland came into this one and got to all the loose balls. They were a more physical team. I would not be shocked at all if we saw in Game 4 James Johnson getting into the rotation earlier for Rick Carlisle.
Jarris Walker we hadn't seen tonight either till right now. Let's check in with Angel.
Corey, I'm so glad that you brought it up about James Johnson, because from the very beginning of this game, all eyes, all ears have been paying attention to what James has been saying in these huddles. He has the complete trust from his teammates, and the coaches also allow him to take over the huddles in moments that are big.
Yeah, Angel, he's one of those coaches on the floor, one of those, culture guys, and Rick Carlisle trusts him tremendously to deliver the proper message to his teammates, and he can deliver it in a manner that's different from the way the coaches can give it to him.
Javonte Green getting some minutes here for Cleveland as they empty the bench. He had to play significant reserve role in Game 2 with the bodies that Cleveland was down. That three won't go. Final minute and 30 seconds. Teams will play Game 4 on TNT Sunday night. Ty Jerome, his shot's still been off tonight, 1 of 7 after he was 1 for 14 in Game 2.
I'll tell you one guy that will never lose confidence.
Jarris Walker is fouled and will go to the line to shoot 2. But if you were Cleveland, obviously, the only thing that truly mattered was getting the win, getting off the mat, right? But then you have to feel great about the other boxes you were able to check. Evan Mobley looked terrific playing on that ankle. It had a few odd drops early in the game, but after that in the first quarter was outstanding, especially on the defensive end. His assertiveness on offense, 18 points, 13 rebounds. Darius Garland looked quick, did not look inhibited by the toe injury whatsoever. And DeAndre Hunter, who at times we saw him kind of looking at the thumb a little bit, still was able to contribute off the bench and give Cleveland this critical Game 3 win.
But the difficult part was done, and that was getting them back on the floor and allowing them to see that they can play with those injuries. Now, the interesting part will be for Darius Garland, seeing how he responds. It's been 2 weeks since he's played basketball, so how does he respond after a rigorous effort here against the pressure of the Indiana Pacers?
Nice take by Porter. Shepard. Walker will fire a 3 off the mark. Okoro leaking down the floor is nearly fouled by Walker. And Jerome still can't get one to drop. Now 1 of 8. Rebound Javonte Green, and now Cleveland pull this one out. The Cleveland Cavaliers are on the board in the Eastern Conference semifinals. They take Game 3 in authoritative fashion. 126-104 the final. It's now a 2-1 series lead for Indiana. For our producer, Paul Irvin, our director, Ashley Ward, Corey Alexander, Angel Gray, and our entire crew, I'm Ryan Rucco. Coming up next, Game 3, Thunder Nuggets. Take it away, Mark Jones.
уходи, побудь со мною. Я так давно тебя люблю. Дым от костра струей сизой струится в сумрак дня. Лишь бархат алый, алой ризой, лишь свет зари покрыл меня. Все обман, седым туманом ползет печаль угрюмых мест. Гибель крестом багряным кладет на даль воздушный крест. Подруга на вечернем пире, помедли здесь.
Oh, heaven knows, men know that I love you so much, Jamila. Ooh, yes I do. You left my world and left me so cold. Now I'm wondering how I'm gonna get you back. Hey, nasa na fata miki rai, Jamila ki yafe mun. Na dawo gida ban ga Jamila ba, na dawo gida ban ji muryanta ba. Hey, wayo, a neman mun Jamila. Jamila, don Allah gida babu abin da zai raba mu har abada. Jamila, zuciya na ɓaciwa. Gida. Ooh, no matter what people do or say, this love will never die. If I knew I never hurt you so bad, drinking so much, too much women.